Good afternoon, viewers, and welcome to the EduSat lecture in the science stream. Today we have with us Dr.U.S. Pandey from the Department of Computer Science, School of Open Learning. He is also the officer on special duty for the campus of Open Learning. We have been having Dr.U.S. Pandey for the computer science lectures, and today he has brought us a very interesting topic of big data. When we think about big data, it is not just large data in terms of number, volume, but it is also a very diverse, unstructured data which not just has problem of analyticals or programming, but also of storage and security. So we will be learning more about big data analytics in this series of lectures, and today, beginning with the first part of this series, we welcome Dr.U.S. Pandey.
Thank you. Let us talk about the big data. As you interestingly tell that about the big data concept, which is very much useful nowadays, how we are going to proceed for that. Now, what is a big data introduction? As she has already told you that the big data means a large amount of data to be done. We will talk about the characteristics of the big data also, the challenges which is going to be faced in doing the big data activities, the big data transmission network and big data network future. So, what is a big data is? The big data is the term for a collection of data sets so large and complex that it becomes difficult to process using on-hand database management tools or traditional data processing applications. The challenges that we face with the DBMS tools and other technology in capturing, curation, storage, search, sharing, transfer, analysis and visualization. Imagine the concept of big data which is coming in really in a big way. When you see, take an example, we will talk about these things in detail. Take a simple example of Facebook. Imagine every day you are putting a lot of pictures, lot of information, sometimes many comments, and still those data is being processed. The amount of the data collected on the Facebook itself or other social site, take another example like Twitter, which is collecting more than that information. So, processing of those data just by putting only arranging of the information is a huge task. Imagine every day these kind of information is being shared with you. Not only this, even there are a lot of memories which you are capturing from years to come. Imagine how much information is being stored and how all these things are being processed. The other way, the different type of data in a totally unstructured way, these things are being captured, processed and doing all these kind of activities. So, these kind of things are going to be covered basically in big data, because the way you are putting the information on these sites or there are many other related activities, the data is not of the one nature. You are utilizing that kind of data for many other activities. So, imagine processing of data, handling of those kind of information activities which is going to be covered under the big data. Now, why big data? The key enablers for the appearance and growth of big data are increase in storage capabilities, increase in processing power, availability of data. Imagine, as we have just discussed now, for example, if you are putting some kind of comments on your Facebook and you are getting a response after 1 hour, what will happen? Imagine, in the same way, if you are asking putting some kind of comments on Twitter or some kind of information on Twitter and then information reaches after an hour, what is going to be the impact of those? So, if you use a technical usual databases, this kind of things may happen, because so large volume of data is being there, processing and activity is taking place, it is very difficult to manage with the traditional way. But big data is taking care of these things. As we have just mentioned, that increasing a processing power, the storage capability is very huge, the availability of data at appropriate time, these things need to be there, and that is why big data is here. Now, big data globally, as I have just mentioned, here you can see Facebook creates over 30 billion pieces of content per day. Even what I am writing, it is more than that. It stores more than 30 petabyte of data, and imagine in the case of Twitter, it could be more, produces over 90 million tweets per day, and you can just imagine a huge amount in the form of storage. So, just see globally these kind of activities are taking place. Now, the very important factor in the case of big data we call 3 V's. The big data is usually transformed in 3 dimension: volume, velocity and variety. Here the volume means the machine generated data is produced in large quantities than non-traditional data. The velocity here, this refers to the speed of data processing, how the data processing speed is there, processing speed is how much good than the others. And the variety, which is the main and the most important thing, this refers to large variety of input data, which in turns generates large amount of data as output. So, imagine these 3 V's do a lot of things: the volume, velocity and variety. This plays a very important role in a big data concept. Now, here you can see the same big data 3 V's, some makes it as a 4 V's also. Data at rest, you can see here the terabytes, you have a large amount of data. Now, imagine those data in motion, utilizing those kind of information, utilizing those data, putting those things, and data in many forms, which I have just mentioned, especially when you are handling the database in a traditional way. Usually you go a specific type of database activity, but here you do not know what kind of input you are going to put and in what way, and see in data in top. So, imagine this different kind of 4 V's is also going to be there. So, using those data as an input, utilizing those data as an output if required, and putting those data in different form, or it is saved by the database in a way, and utilizing those all data and utilizing the database in a proper way, that all things is very easy to say, but you can't imagine that if we have been put a lot of information at one place immediately to respond each and every query properly is going to be a difficult task. So, the big data is basically here to handle all those kind of activities, a large volume of data. As you know, every day a new concept is coming in this particular area, whether you take it in a Facebook or in a Twitter or any other different kind of activities, it could be related with the healthcare, it could be related with your educational system, it could be related with any part of the other activities which you are taking in that way. This big data is playing a very important role. You are getting lot of information, lot of statements, lot of activity instantly instead of waiting for a long time. So, here big data is playing a very important role, because a huge amount of data is being processed. The different type of data is going to be processed. Sometime imagine you are getting data in a form of text, sometime you are getting data in the form of pictures, sometime you are getting in the form of video, some kind of in the form of audio. So many things are going to be there, and mixing all those things together. Imagine sometimes you are looking on your any social account for a specific activity, immediately that account give you a picture which is related to that. You will be surprised to know that how these pictures are coming in front of you. Computer does not know about your activities or what you are thinking in your mind. You have just tell about that. Take example, if you are looking for your birthday or any kind of specific day, some date you have mentioned, automatically it will appear some of the pictures and it will give some of the related activity with those, even those activity which you have performed more than a year. Just imagine a huge amount of data is there and computer is able to process or take that related information for you. So, it is a very simple thing. The same thing is going to be related in other parts of the different activities or the other activities which I am going to tell you in detail about. Especially in the area of health care, it is a very important activity. Periodically, if some kind of test is going to be there, something is related to you, it will give you the proper information. If you are associated with the proper kind of hospitals or even some government offices, they will try to inform you in some way so that you can get the exact information. And that is why we are going to say that big data in near future also is going to play a very important role. So, that is why the concept of 3 V's or 4 V's are coming very fast. Now, here you can see what big data is basically. It is transactions plus interactions and plus observations. Here you can see the increasing data variety and complexity. Already you know that earlier ERP and now it is in CRM, customer relation management, web logs, offer histories, different kind of dynamic pricing, affiliated networks, search marketing, behavioral targeting, dynamic channels, and now in a big data which is coming as a very important way, different sensors, RFID, devices, the mobile web, user stream, and lot of other things which you can see here, that the user generated content, the content which you are providing, the social interaction and feeds, the different external demographics, HD, video, audio, images, speech to text, product, service logs, SMS, MMS, the thing is moving like anything. And here you can just go to see the storage, it is going beyond megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte, and even beyond that. So, things are increasing like anything, as we have just mentioned that from ERP to CRM to the web system, this big data concept is coming as a huge. and tomorrow what other things are going to be there, it is very difficult to say at this stage what are the things are going to be captured, what are the other activities are going to be put in one way, so that this big data can help those activities, those kind of transactions are the different kind of activities of individual organization, the government organizations, putting all of them together, as well as you already know the Aadhaar card or the different kind of facilities which are going to be given with the government to attach those devices with the other kind of especially organizations like banks, land reforms activities are going to be there, plus government hospitals are there. Imagine if all these informations are being put together and it is going to be make useful to all human beings, how much it is going good to you. So, this is the concept how big data is coming. Now, you can see the big data challenges. Very simply, we say sort 10 terabyte on one node, just imagine 2 to 5 days 100 node cluster, or here we are giving a mathematical equation 0 n log n 2 n log n, the real time fast data, which is a very important thing. As you are just discussing about the different kind of accounts, it could be Facebook, Twitter or YouTube, Flickr, the different kind of social media networks, all of us are generating data. Everybody is putting a large amount of information. Real time activities are taking place. The huge number of data is being generated by this. Here you can see the scientific instrument collecting all sorts of data. The different kind of information you are gathering to the satellites, to other parts of activity, putting all of them together in real time sense, doing the fast processing. And here the very important, as you know, about the mobile devices tracking all objects all the time. Imagine here each and every informations are of the nature of real time. You are getting the sensors, technology and networks measuring all kinds of data. So, the data which you are collecting from either these kind of social media and networks, scientific instruments, mobile devices which is tracking all of the different kind of object at the same moment, sensor technology and networks measuring all kind of data. So, collecting all of the data and putting them together, it is very important. The progress and in the innovation is no longer hindered by the ability to collect data, but the ability to manage, analyze, summarize, visualize and discover knowledge from the collected data in a timely manner and in scalable functions. As we have just discussed about the thing that in real time data, when you are collecting a lot of things, how these kind of things are being calculated, putting all of them together. Now, see here you can see real time analytics, decision requirement, the product recommendation that are relevant and compelling. Hearing why customers switch to competitors and their offers in time to counter. Friends, invitations to join game or activity that expands business. prevention, fraud as it is occurring and preventing more proactively. Improving the marketing effectiveness of a promotion while it is still in play. The meaning by what I mean to say, especially in the real time of analysis, the real time of the data which you are collecting from all the different sources, they do have a more relevant at the same moment, same time. So, what is the impact of these things are going to be? That when you are collecting these data need to be processed in time, visualized in time as we have just put it. Maybe sometimes you need to summarize all those informations and putting them together. It is just like a information. Suppose some kind of news is coming related to a particular item. It may be a history of something like that. Immediately if you can show some of the pictures, some of the story related to that, only then it is meaningful. Otherwise, showing those kind of captions later on is not that much useful. So, here in the same way, when you are accessing lot of activity, getting lot of information or collecting the data, making it a useful at the same moment as we have just mentioned here, only then it is of more use. Take an example, suppose in a class of business some activity, something is required immediately, some kind of data is required immediately to be shown to the public, to be shown to the all distributors, to be shown to the all business people, or to be shown to the government officials. So, one thing is that you can show these kind of transactions, informations or the data analysis later on, but sometimes it is required immediately. So, putting a huge data, collecting them, processing them and providing the benefit to the customers or any employees or the other activities is going to be main useful. Take another very simple example. It could not be the exactly do, for example, at the moment you are doing some kind of shopping somewhere. As you know, all major store and all big industries are being put together. Somehow some kind of a good offers is coming from many places. The moment you are doing the purchasing, the moment you are doing your billing of the activity, immediately the some offers appear in front of you based of your purchases, based of your activity, based of your performance and so many things. What I mean to say, it is the basically a real time analytics which you are getting immediately being benefited, that give a different impact instead that you are getting a phone in the late night that you have won this kind of activity. So, what I mean to say, there could be different kind of reasons, there could be different kind of decisions which if we take in a real time, getting analytics from your big data may definitely help people better. Now, take a very simple example, especially in the area of health care. The average amount of data per hospital will increase by many terabytes. So, this in 2015 we have given only 675 in this, driven by the enormous growth of medical images and electronic medical records. With the big data, these medical professions or the professionals can get a huge amount of information based on these kind of patients. They can analyze the activities, different kind of clinical, relevant clinical informations or about the diseases what kind of impacts are being created in which area, and by getting these kind of different electronically created images, not only these images, they can read those images, they can study those images in a detail by putting the fractals and all kind of medical activity. Especially in the healthcare, this big data is playing a very important role. In the area of doing lot of research, to be specific on a different diseases, it is helping a lot. I am just taking a simple example. You are fully aware that breast cancer is increasing in every part of world. A lot of studies have shown that in Western world it is increasingly very fast. When you have been concluded, we come to know that it is not that much in the part of Indian or other countries segments, but it is increasing very fast in the Western area. And these studies have been done only based on the different images which have been taken earlier. By the pattern recognition, some of the computer scientists with the medical practitioners, with the doctors, they have studied a lot those kind of images which have been taken at every stages at that places also, and which is helping to us here also. And based on those research, it has been found that if you do a earlier kind of detection, earlier kind of diagnosis, it may definitely help to prevent in a much more better way. So, it is only one disease, there are many other diseases where this big data is helping a lot, providing you the lot of circumstances and even the different kind of activity, how these kind of diseases can be prevented in a much more good way, or which kind of environment is going to be best suitable for this kind of activity. And all these analysis is totally based on the data which you have received from different part of the world. In nutshell, we would like to say that calculating, managing, handling, summarizing a very huge amount of data. The word very I am putting emphatically, it is really a huge amount of data which need to be processed in timely and properly, so that the different segments of data, as we have just mentioned, it could be a picture also, it could be a video also, it could be SMS, it could be MMS, it could be in a text form or any form of data. And all these kind of data need to be processed. Not only this, it is being interlinked. Take example, nowadays even if you are doing a searching of a particular item, you get not only the related website information or only related textual information, if some kind of audio is related to that, if some kind of video is related to that, or some other form of data is available, you may able to get all those kind of things. Imagine, it is very easy to say how all these kind of processing is taking place, but really it is a very difficult task still to manage a large volume of data of the different variety, putting all of them together, making it more useful day by day. A lot of research is taking place. So, as we have just mentioned, in the healthcare area, the role of big data is very good in the way that still it need to be useful to be more good way, because just analyzing a large volume of data, it's giving a proper results, and which is especially useful in doing research or other kind of activity in the area of medical science. Now come to another area where big data is playing again a very important role. It could be a customer service. As already you know, today 86% of the customers or the consumers quit doing business with the company because of a bad customer experience. Now, how big data can play an important role in this case? The service representatives can use this big data for understanding, and usually you know, just to getting the feedback from the experience or the what kind of things are going to be there, kind of problem you are facing. To resolve those kind of problems, a study can be made, and still it is being made. Maybe you are knowing very well that when you are going to do some kind of activity, this kind of customer service, this CRM, customer relation management, are the different kind of activities which is playing an important role to discuss with the customers. And usually there is a person to handle the requirements or any kind of dissatisfaction of the customer seriously. Getting the feedbacks, things are like that. You maybe have listened that. Take a very simple example, many auto industries have recall their many cars. Usually it was not happening earlier. Just by getting the feedback from the customer that the system is not working fine, they recall all the system and do the needful and then return if required. So these kind of activities are basically taking place after getting the feedback from the consumers. Now imagine I am not relating this activity with the big data, but when a big organization is coming into the picture and the big organization is having some kind of survey based on the customer, whether these kind of products are going to be useful or not, up to what extent this kind of problems are going to be there, then really it is going to be useful. So especially in a customer service, it is playing an important role, getting feedback from the customer, analyzing the needs of the customer, understanding the behavior of the customer, and all doing these things, a big data can play an important role. You may be knowing, especially in the education systems, long reforms are taking place. Many universities are coming up to only based on those surveys and collecting lot of information, what is the need of the society, what is the need of the students, what kind of the best studies can be done in which particular area. So what I mean to say, especially in the customer service, in all segment, this big data will play a very important role. In the another area which is very important, you may be knowing, insurance. In the case of insurance, this big data is playing a very important role in a way that collecting all the information, the needs of the society, the needs of the customer, and the different kind of environmental activities. So what will happen, that they will collect the information related to that, and they analyze the information, they summarize the information, and they will try to understand the actual needs of the customers. Based on that, a new policy, a new insurance activity which could help a human being, or it could be a different policy environment, policy of a car, or see a taping, a theft of any kind of activity, or different activities where all these can be help. Utilizing the big data concept, a large volume of data can be collected and the data can be processed, and it can be make more useful in the area of insurance sector. Here you can see the evaluation of the business intelligence, which is major things are coming. You can see here that the area where it is coming in the big way, that the major information of the business intelligence where it can put a large volume of data in a different way, that you can process a business volume of data can be put together. A large amount of data need to be collected from the different sources, and imagine those data is being processed in utilizing different technology of the big data, and only then the processing, the output may come into that way. Here, as we would like to mention, that big data is playing a very important role, especially in a commerce industry also, where the data from different sources are being collected, and after collecting those data we get a lot of informations. Based on those, doing the analytics, summarizing those things, putting all those things and visualizing those information, putting all those activities together, and then you can get a proper result in that way. So, what I mean to say, having this big data concept in one way, utilizing all the fields, it could be an insurance sector, it could be other sectors of the different areas, as we have just mentioned, it could be a healthcare, it could be an educational sector where all these kinds of things are taking place. So, what I mean to say, the big data which will play a very important role in all segments of the society. We have started discussing from 3 V's to 4 V's and all in that way.
May I ask a question regarding the big data, sir?
The question regarding the big data, as we have just mentioned, that big data is playing a very important role, especially in the all segment of life. As the volume of data is increasing very fast, and analyzing all those data, putting them together is a huge task.
Yes, sir.
What is happening basically, if you put together the large volume of data and analyzing all those data in a traditional way, it is very difficult to get the result immediately. Or real time things are going to be there. But only the concept is going to be there, that how these data is going to be calculated in a proper way, so that you can in a real sense can get all those things.
Sir, I felt that when we write any comment in Facebook, it is all junk data, but all our pictures, all our data and comments, does that forms an important part
exactly.
of
Very
information?
Right, very rightly you asked, Nuti. What I am trying to say, that your each comment, each word, each symbol have its own significance for this kind of activity. If you are putting a very simile symbol, even that have a significance in that way. They use your each word, each sentence, each character, they save it properly, and they try to make use of all those informations very importantly. And if required, they can put you the things in a proper way, they give you the advice, or sometimes in your memory way you can get it like that. So, as we are just discussing about the BI reporting and all, here you can see the evaluation of business intelligence which you are talking, the BI reporting and OLAP data warehouse, business objects, SAS here you can see, Informatica, Congress, other SQL reporting tools which you are doing earlier. Now, imagine by using the business intelligence how things are becoming fast. The interactive business intelligence and in memory RDBMS, relational database management, and the big data, batch processing and distributed data store, as you have just asked about all those kind of things. Maybe you are we will talk about their Hadoop, Spark and HBase, Cassandra later on in the different lectures. So, these kind of graph databases, the big data, real time and single view, the speed, scale and all things, you can just imagine how the business intelligence is taking place in that way. and even these things will answer your query also related that each and every data which you are putting into there is going to take care. It is not that usually when some kind of people ask that I have put some information, what will happen to those? Every activity of yours is going to be taken care. Now, here you can see something more that OLTP, that is online transaction processing, the DBMSs. You can see here the OLTP, OLAP and RTP. OLAP is basically online analytical processing, that is data warehousing, and RTAP is real time analytics processing, big data architecture and technology. That is the biggest issue at the moment. You can imagine, I am just taking again the same question as you have just asked regarding the Facebook activity. You are answering the questions in many ways, sometimes putting a symbol, sometimes giving a different symbols, sometimes using pictures, sometimes using videos, some kind of other activities. Now, imagine which database structure is going to be best suitable for storing your all data, and still you need that Facebook should respond if something is, some kind of activity is taking place. What I mean to say is, your each activity, your each data is going to be stored very importantly, and utilizing here you can see, as we have just mentioned, that big data take care of all those kind of things. Your all activities are going to be there, and as we say that lot of research is taking place. Even when you are talking to a customer, when you are talking to a business executive, your behavioral activities are also going to be stored in a database, so that next time a next person if have any kind of transactions with you, he can use a best simpler way. So, the meaning by the lot of research activities or the different architecture and technologies are taking place in the case of big data to store your all activities, to respond you immediately, to see that your proper interaction have been done in that. So, here OLTP, OLAP and RTP is going to be there in that way. Now, here you can see the big data in design and engineering. As we have discussed till now about the healthcare, about the insurance, about the customers care services, as well as in the different parts of, here you can see the design and engineering, the use of big data. The engineering department of manufacturing companies utilizing a large amount of big data to make a new planning. Boeing's new 787 aircraft is perhaps the best example of big data, a plan designed and manufactured. Big data needs to be transferred for conversion into machining related information to allow the product to be manufactured. As we have just mentioned, large of instruments are taking places. There are many large problems are also persisting due to many ways. See, it is a very big word, in the total big word where more than 200 countries are there. There are different languages are there, different way of planning is there, different standards are there for making different kind of manufacturing or other kind of instrumental activities. Doing activity which each one of them having synchronization and putting all the machines in a way, or imagine a good relation between the countries to maintain so many things. Here also big data plays very important role. Imagine if the two different kinds of machines can be put together, maybe for something betterment, whether the two different machines which have been developed in totally different environment can be put together. or in other way you can see there are many defense activities, defense instruments are there, whether those instruments can be made in a best suitable in Indian way, or the many instruments which are developed here can be made best suitable in other part of the world, which was being done till now, but not in that much good way. So, globally we can perform it, or globally there are many activities can take place, and the big data will definitely put much more help in all those directions. Now, here the reasons for the importance of the big data, as we have just discussed, increase innovations and development of next generation product. As we have just discussed, based on the data analysis, getting the data, real time data, you can do these kind of activities in a much more good way. Improve customer satisfaction. We have discussed a lot about that just getting the feedback from the customers, and lot of instances have been already quoted, that getting the feedback from the customers, if the customer is satisfied or if any kind of problem is persisting, based on that any kind of industry or the organization can take some kind of steps to resolve those. Sharpen competitive advantages. Already you are knowing, when a big volume of data is available, it is already a very competitive advantage is going to be there. Create more narrow segmentations of the customer, and the very important thing is reduce downtime. Already you are knowing that when you are planning till now, at the moment you are just going through the website or all other kind of activities. Now, with the utilizing of the big data concept, you can get a large amount of information about any kind of activity, and sometimes even the real time activity which is playing an important role. Take a very simple example. Maybe nowadays you seeing that even railways have started very good schemes, maybe utilizing the premier trains or different activities. It could not be the best suitable example, but they are also utilizing the big data concept. They are seeing the entire world where things are moving, where the travel industries are moving, or the different kind of tourism is taking place. To improve those kind of activity, it could be any transport agencies, it could be even airlines, they are also planning for a big things in a specific time. It is not available all the time good, they are planning if when kind of time, when the month of April or in the month of November or the time when losses are there, they give a better offer to you. So, just being seeing that real time data are utilizing the big concept of not only this one country, the concept of the entire world. They are getting the conceptually what are the new things are happening, how the data analysis will help you providing the real time data, all these kinds of things are happening. So, I am just putting only one segment, there are many areas, or in other words if I say every area big data is coming in a big way, and the very important thing, just as we have just mentioned, these things are becoming very useful. As you know, this is totally based on the data. The analysis which you are doing is based on your data. You can put either in a data warehouse or in a data mining. So, you are extracting the information from the real data, and the real data is really very helpful to you, because it is giving you the exact information, what happens, how it happens, when it happens, each and everything you are getting importantly. Now, one more important thing you may be having about the cloud and big data. In fact, from a cloud perspective, I believe that the transfer and archiving of big data will become a key capability of a manufacturing focused cloud environment. server based on the Intel Xen processor E5 and E7, families at the heart of infrastructure that supports both cloud and big data environment. This ideal for storing and processing large volume of data. Web-based tools will allow you to upload your big data to the manufacturing clouds. So, you can imagine the big data where these kind of informations are being stored and being utilized. So, today what we have just tried to cover you about the 3 V's, 4 V's, as well as what is the importance of the big data, especially in the area of healthcare, in the customer service, in the insurance, in the engineering segment, and all in the different parts of them. And that's all. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, sir. May I ask a few questions regarding big data? First, I would like to ask, is data analytics some sort of surveillance?
See, data analysis you can put exactly, it is not kind of that surveillance, but data analysis basically it is giving you the exact information. What I mean to say is actually analyzing those data, you may be able to get a real fact which have been collected, not any statistically activities, exact real based information. Based on that you are getting the exact information, which is really very useful.
You mean to say that the surveys that we used to do some 5 years, 10 years back have now been replaced by big data, and we don't do it willingly, but the information is taken from our subconscious and put to use?
Very rightly you ask. Earlier what we are kind of survey and other activities you are doing, that was basically a different kind of, there kind of some kind of problem, malpractices are also going to be there. Here what actually is having the exact amount of, say example, you can see nowadays in the TVs also are, although it is not the concept of that big data, you just say this is the number which have been given, if you put Y or N or something like that, within a second, within a minute you can collect all the data immediately, and that too in a real sense you are getting the real data, how many is going to be true, how many is going to be false, or how many of them are agree with your answer and not like this. So, here this kind of information is immediately playing an important role to take decision immediately. So, that is going to be difference between today and earlier, when you are surveying a lot of activity and doing based on that analysis. At the moment also you can do the analysis, but that too using your feedback forms and all, you can collect those information. And earlier collecting, doing survey of only 100 students. Take a simple example, earlier we take different kind of samples, even if you are studying for lakhs of people, we are just taking 100 sample, which is not suitable. Now immediately if you want, even you can take the sample of or 1 lakh people, and that can be calculated very soon, immediately. So that things become a total change, where there is not a statistical information, it is the real information which you are getting, it is the real fact which you are getting. So that you can take a real rule, basically it is not any kind of thing that you are putting that what will happen after this putting rule, or what will happen after doing this kind of thing, because you are getting each and every real time information. So taking in one way you can say a real time decision will definitely help in all way.
Sir, another question is regarding the design and engineering aspect, and I would like to ask, when we are looking at developing prototypes, and now that we have the 3D printers and we have ready information, do you think we will have a much faster improvisation, or you can say a model 1, model 2 improvisations of product with the information we derive from big data and suitable for different geographical locations?
Very rightly you say, and if I put that, even if you have just answered your question yourself itself, very rightly, because the concept which you are moving, the demand which are coming of the society, naturally when you see lot of things, I mean just imagine, you say nowadays, earlier SMS are taking pager, are taking different kind of devices. Today even many person does not know about this, many don't know about the CDs and all. What I mean to say is that the requirement of people is increasing very fast. As we have just mentioned, if you use in a big data some traditional databases and you put some kind of questions or get your answer after an hour, imagine what will happen in that case. The answer now you want immediately from a computer. Put a question and immediately you want answer, real time answer, and that too answer you want correct. Again I am putting a simple example. Go to the railway reservation counter and ask for the reservation. The few reservation people say that you will get the information after 10 minutes. So what impact will come to you? You want immediately things should come, spotlight. So the thing is that the real time activities are taking place and the demand is increasing so fast. So what are the things you are saying? Definitely all these things, maybe beyond that things may happen, and that depends upon the requirements and need of the people. The machines are also going to be developed. You already knowing, lot of computers have been already developed, utilizing, they just listen you and start working. Same way machines have already started working, different kind of sensors are being developed, different kind of other voice recognition system is already in place. Go to there. So they are helping in a security and other conceptually also. So these things are naturally in developing a different kind of machines, they will play a very important role.
Sir, another note I would like to say, like when we are talking about development of smart cities, so big data would be very important for integration of smart cities?
Again very right question, and I am just saying even the choosing the concept of this smart cities have also come after the big data analysis, because they have just generated. It is not that pick and choose system that they have developed anything or could be politically motivated. I think all these decisions have been taken after the analyzing all this based on, you can call a big data concept, what kind of facilities are there, what kind of environment is there, how it could be benefited utilizing all those kind of infrastructure. So in this city also developing all this big data is really going to make a help in that directions. In another word I can put you, big data concept is everywhere, it can be used in a much more good way to do things in a real sense.
Thank you so much, sir, for a very interesting talk. Definitely, big data has tremendous applications, and with the coming up series, we will be following up more about big data, and we will learn about the structural components of how we store and secure our data. Thank you so much, sir, for this very enlightening lecture. Thank you.